He's back. The one and only Mr. Brian Adams is back. And yes, folks, both Brian and I are traveling, but we wanted to come to you because, again, we think it is important to touch base each week and really talk about what is going on in the markets, but also what's going on in our business. Brian, I know you flew up to Detroit to do some pretty deep dives into your business, into relationships. I thought we should just paint a picture of what you were planning for, what actually happened, what takeaways, and all of that. But before we do that, Brian, how you doing, man?
Man, I am doing great, Mike. It's been a very busy but productive week. I've been operating on probably 5-6 hours of sleep and about 14-15 hours of work, but that's what I'm here for. I literally flew up here for this. So,
Right.
But the magic is still in the knee to knee, right?
Yeah.
You can't, I mean, Zooms are great. But when you can get knee to knee with your team and let them feel your presence, it's just remarkable what happens, right? And how much more committed and invested that they are in your absence when they get to touch you in your presence. And so I just want to, a lot of people ask me all the time, like, what's some of the secret sauce to remote investing? This is a part of it, right? Getting on the ground, getting with your team. It's good to have that cadence and that frequency from afar. But, I've taken my project manager out to dinner. I took our Section 8 provider out to dinner last night. I'm meeting with my property manager here shortly. I've met with several different contractors. Went to, various properties. A lot of the viewers would be happy to hear this. I went to the first apartment building I bought 2 years ago. I saw it for the first time today on right?
That's pretty wild.
It is wild, right? And but anyway, I could keep going. Mike, you tell me where you want to go next.
Well, I think this is important kind of on several reasons, right? One, I have come around, both you, Millennial Mike, a couple of folks are on this channel have brought me around to what I'll call out of area or out of state investing. But it's because you both believe in the knee to knee or, face to face or all of that. That is always the thing, because for so long, I've heard people go out of state because it was cheap. And that is the wrong reason. And then you go out of state and it's cheap and you never go there. Are you trying to lose money? I mean, really? Is that what we're trying to do here? So when I hear somebody whose market was Detroit for a long time, then you moved, you've kept that footprint, and you still keep going back, if it's once a year, once every 6 months, whatever it is, that makes me feel good. Because if you're going to do out-of-state investing, you have to plan for those expenses. Flights aren't free. Hotels aren't free. Dinners aren't free. But if you're going to go there, just work that into your model. I'm just happy to hear that.
For sure. It is a line item, no doubt about it. It's a business expense, but it's requisite. Like, if you really want to win, you have to understand that people do things for one reason and one reason only, because they feel like it. Right? Like that's the only reason why people do things. And so it's your responsibility as the owner, as the leader, to make them feel like it, right? And part of doing that is by taking them out and investing your time and maybe even a couple bucks, like a 2-hour dinner goes a long way. I took our Section 8 provider out last night, and we went to dinner, and then we had cigars after, and we had a phenomenal time. And here's the other thing: if you hire good people, you'll actually enjoy the time you spend.
Yeah,
right?
They'll actually be friends.
Exactly. So, that's another part of it, is investing in the right people, so that when that time does come to spend time with them, whether it be Christmas events or whatever your thing is, like, it's not such a gripe, that you really enjoy spending the time that you do. And I promise you, you make those deposits, you can keep making withdrawals for months to come thereafter.
Yeah. There's a couple more things that I think are important here. Because again, I only came to realize this as I helped educate folks, right? I invest in a market that's 2.5 hours away. You can get lots of places in 2.5 hours. And so I see a lot of similarities, right? I tried backyard investing. It doesn't work for me because the place I live is just too expensive. There's no cash flow. But there's these one-on-one relationships that you build, like going out to dinner and cigars and all of that. But one of the real magic that I saw happen, again, almost by accident, is when I hosted events of all my team, all my resources, whether it's contractors, property managers, lawyers, all agents, bankers in one room, right? I took them out to Ruth's Chris one time, a very expensive steakhouse for like a thank you for the year, right?
Sure.
And it was fun. It was great. But I was hearing conversations with people that probably, they were in the same market, but they don't network. If it wasn't for me, they wouldn't be in the room together. And we were actually able to build more business that way because you were just connecting stories like, oh, and over here and all of that. So again, I think one of the things that people should do is, you're the, I don't know, anchor or magnet or whatever the right analogy is, but get everybody together sometimes. I think you'll see some, just some goodness happen that way. What do you think?
I like that idea, Mike. I normally, I guess I've been a little more silo oriented in that approach to where I'll take around Christmas, especially, I'll take like the contracting crew and the project manager out, right? And then I'll take, but I never thought of mixing everybody together, CPA, attorney, just
all of that.
everybody in the mix. That's actually a great idea.
Yeah, it's really like I remember the CPA, the accountant. Actually, I was a bookkeeper. Let's be clear. It was a bookkeeper for my account and a lawyer getting together and talking. They would have no reason to talk, but then they were talking about it, and they were talking about some expenses, and it was fun watching, two resources that I pay get together and find ways to help me. It was
Sure.
pretty cool. So
For sure.
yeah. And then again, as we go into a changing market, I tell everybody to share your buy box, but also share your team. Make sure your team knows each other. Make introductions. Again, if you're out of area, even if it's in an email, right? One of the things you might want to do, like, because again, if you're just starting, I would probably do a monthly summary, maybe quarterly, probably quarterly. I would do a quarterly review and copy everybody in your world, right? Just if you want to blind copy everybody, so be it. But I want everybody to know one message, right? Don't be that person that, plays the game of telephone. Oh, I heard this. And then I heard this. Get everybody together.
Right. Yeah. No, that's good. That's good. And it aligns everyone with the vision, right? That's essentially what you're doing when you galvanize in that way.
Yeah. And you'll just never know. The interaction after that. Because again, when you set the clear vision, everybody knows their world, the silo, I guess I'll use your word. But when you can start to break the silos and it goes from white and black to gray, worst case, nothing happens. Best case, you get some positive leverage.
For sure. I like it. And to that point, right? The property management company that I use, they recently hired a guy who he's owned his own construction company for the last 12 years, and they hired him to kind of come on and run the maintenance arm. And so that was an important person I wanted to touch, right? And so he and I met at a 4-unit that I bought almost a year ago. There was a tenant in there when we bought it. Took us 9 months to get him out. Finally, we got him out. And so I wanted to go inside, see the unit, and use it as an opportunity to walk the property with this contractor to understand how does he see things when he's walking the property, right? It's so important. And one thing that he said during that walkthrough was, I look for things that I can salvage. And I just stopped and shook his hand. I said, "You my kind of guy." Right?
Exactly.
You're my kind of guy. And that's so important, right? And so, he sent me a text late last night, and he was so grateful that I took the time to even meet with him. And he didn't understand that meeting probably meant more to me than it even did for him. Because in my absence, when things arise, who's going in there and how are they looking at things where they're going in there?
Yeah, because he could have been one of those guys. It's like, oh, I just rip and replace. Everything goes in new.
For sure.
It's a capital expense. You'll be good for 8 years. Well,
for sure.
Thanks for spending my money, buddy. Yeah. So I really do think it's an important thing. So I'd love to hear what your plan is, but then let's also make some recommendations to folks just starting. How often do you do these? Is this once every 6 months, once a quarter, once a year? How often do you go back to Detroit to really make it purposeful and meet with people?
So I would say this year has been probably once every 60, 70 days.
Oh, okay. Wow. So, okay.
Yeah. Now, in fairness, I do these 5-day challenges. So the first 5 months I was shooting them from in studio in Michigan. So I kind
Okay.
of had a multifaceted reason for being here.
Okay.
But at the very same time, it's funny because I would be here for 5, 6 days and not see any of my real estate. I would literally be up here focused on the challenge and wouldn't see any
Right.
of my real estate. So based on the last time that I saw the team, it was about 60, 70 days ago. So, and I think
Okay.
that that's a pretty healthy cadence for me, right? But
Okay.
when I'm here, I got so much that I can do. So it makes sense. I think you
Yeah.
could probably put, I think once a quarter is super healthy. I think once a
Yeah.
quarter is super healthy.
Yeah. That's kind of where I went. Maybe if you're in the beginning and starting and that's cost prohibitive, you certainly got to do it once every 6 months. You certainly got to do it once you get that first offer accepted. Again, to me, real estate investing is about doing everything you can to make sure that first deal's a winner.
Mm-hmm.
Because too many people, frankly, don't do the work, take shortcuts, gamble, and then the first one doesn't work out and they never come back. So a lot of things that I do, buy box, build confidence, all of those things. I think you have to over rotate to try to make the first one a winner, because once you get that little hit of, endorphin or positive cash flow or whatever that is for you, it is so easy to take a bad day because, shit will break, tenants will not pay, but you got to make that first one. So I would think in the beginning, certainly in a new market, a new state where you don't know anybody, you got to go there, right?
Sure.
Do something.
For sure, for sure. Yeah, I agree with that. Initially, so I'll say this. Initially, everyone should get on the ground within the first 30 days of acquisition and meet everybody in person. Like meet everybody in person. And then from there, you can kind of delineate the frequency thereafter. But when you first purchase a property, I think it's critical to get on the ground. Now, some may say, well, what about going beforehand? I'm one that believes the time is better invested once there's a live deal in play, right? I think you do as much due diligence as possible. We talk about the framework inside of our program and do as much of that due diligence up front before you make the purchase. But after you make the purchase, it's real for everybody. Prior to that, it's just a dog and pony show and you're going to get what you're going to get. But once it's a real deal and checks are being cut, it's a great time to get on the ground and meet with everybody and set the tone even further.
Yeah, I agree with that. Um, we're going to talk about Section 8 in the second video, so we'll hold off on that concept. But again, I think out-of-state investing can work. I think too many people focus on the numbers, not the
Mm-hmm.
people.
For sure.
Real estate investing, even in your backyard's a people business. But man, if you're going to go out of area or out of state, it's such a people business. People don't understand that, I don't think.
For sure. For sure. I mean, because I can tell you right now, of every conversation that I've had since I've been here, a spreadsheet couldn't have told me any of it.
Exactly.
I'm just being honest. Like I could have looked at as many spreadsheets and it wouldn't have lended the value that I got from being here at Knee to Knee and having these conversations.
Yeah. Folks, Brian, if somebody wanted to see what you're doing on your 5-day challenge or follow you on YouTube or Instagram, where are we sending people today?
Yeah, go to Brian Adamson Real Estate on YouTube. We post daily, right? So lots of content. You can find me at Brian Adamson Official on Instagram. And then if you ever want to come to one of our challenges, which we've had a couple one rental at a time people. So shout out to the one rental at a time community. iFlipChallenge.com. Go to iFlipChallenge.
Challenge. Very cool, man. Thanks again, Brian.
Yes, sir. Thank you.